Hello, this is Mario. I work at one of the Apple retail stores, and I just want to give you a quick principle to choose between the MacBook Pro 13-inch or the 15-inch. The MacBook Pro 15-inch is now available in two configurations. In terms of the processor, they are almost identical: 2 GHz and 2.2 GHz quad-core i7. 4 gigs of RAM is standards across the entire line. Okay, the entry level you got 500 gigabytes for the hard drive, but there's a big leap because if you go to the higher end, you got 750, so you got larger hard drive this time, new technology. Okay, but still 5,400 RPM. So, but the graphic cards, there is a huge gap. Okay, for the graphic cards in terms of the VRAMs or the RAMs of the graphic card, because if you go for the entry level, is the Radeon 6490. You got only 256, but for these areas, not gonna last. But fine, it's really fine for photo editings. It's really fine for movie editings, but it won't be adequate for 3D renderings capabilities. So I would suggest you go for the higher end because you got more RAM for the graphic cards up to 1 gigabyte. I think this one lasts longer. Okay, so for my opinion, the difference between the entry-level MacBook Pros 15-inch and their higher end is $400. If money is not a problem, I would suggest you should use your credit cards or whatever. Try to find the money, okay, and go for the entry level. Okay, unless the money is really big problems. What about the 13-inch? Okay, what are you gonna get? Of course, obviously, if you go for 13-inch, you know what? It's gonna be really quite stupid. Okay, for me also, if I go for the higher ends of the 13-inch MacBook Pro, because if I pay a bit more, around $300, I got the 15-inch. Well, I can jump from 1200 times 800 to 1400 times 900 for the resolution for the screen. I got more pixel density for the screens. Okay, well, I got larger. I mean, I get faster processor. In terms of RAM, they're identical. In terms of the hard drive, they are identical 500 gigs, but I got faster, faster processor. Okay, because there's a huge difference between the dual cores and the quad core. So I paid $300. I got quad core, but more than that, beyond that, I got I got better graphic cards because for the 15-inch MacBook Pros, apart from that Intel SD graphics chipset 3000 whatsoever, I got the AMD Radeon HD, 6490. So I've been doing some research through a number of websites, and I found that the overall speeds of the 15-inch MacBook Pros 2011s is 3 times, not 2, 3 times faster than the top of the line 13-inch MacBook Pros 2011. So if you go to see a shrink or psychiatrist, same things that I did, you may have to pay $300 for 1 hour. So I would suggest you invest $300 to get the 15-inch. But if you want to do animation, because this time they eliminate their weak point, because if we trace back into the histories of the predecessor, new MacBook Pro 15-inch 2010, you will see that there's a flaw. The mid-range is not so popular, that one. So they terminated that one. Now we got only two, entry-level 15 and top-of-the-line 15. So one more time, if you want to go for the top-of-the-line MacBook Pro 13-inch, I would suggest you pay a bit more. You pay $3,000 more to get the entry level of 15-inch. You got 3 times faster for the speed. Okay, if money is not the problem, I would suggest you go for the top of the line i7 of the 15-inch. Okay, one more time, the difference between the two: $400, $400 for 15-inch, same graphic card, same processor, same RAM. You got 250 gigs more for the storage capacity, which is the hard drive. But for the graphic card, there is a huge gap. Because if you go for the entry level of the 15-inch MacBook Pro, you got only 256 for the VRAMs, for the graphic card's RAM. But if you go for the higher end, the top of the line 15-inch MacBook Pros 2011, you get 1 gigabyte of RAM. So that's the thing. Okay? So I would suggest, firstly, you may want to go for the entry level 13-inch, but if not, you go for the entry level for the 15-inch. If you want to do just only movie editing or photo enhancement or photo editing, but if you want to do 3D, I think 256 RAM for the graphic cards is way too small for these eras. It won't last long. If you need something that really lasts, I would suggest you go for the top of the line. Okay, top of the line 15-inch MacBook Pro. Okay, and if you want to go for the 17-inch, it's fine because the overall specs are identical, but you got 1900 times 1200 for the pixel density for the screen. But the bad news is you might have to reduce the pixel density sometimes because sometimes you can't read any of those text on the screen because they are very small for that. So one more time, you go for the entry level 13-inch or you go for the entry level 15. But I would suggest you try so hard to find the money and you pay $400 more. You got 1 gig of RAM for the graphic card and you got 750 for the hard drive for that size. 2.5 inch is new technology. Thanks for watching. And I would suggest you go for that one.